Former President Obama's arrogance and his compulsion to undermine President Trump once again in full display this weekend as he continued what appears to be a global shadow tour. Speaking in Paris, Obama railed against what he called a temporary absence of American leadership. Can you imagine the arrogance? It's breathtaking. Saying that, he said, because the Trump administration chose to withdraw from the job-killing Paris Climate Agreement. Amazing. Joining me now, former UN Ambassador John Bolton, American Enterprise Institute Senior Fellow, Fox Business contributor. Great to have you here.
Glad to be here.
I cannot believe this guy. He's emulating what he did in May, following President Trump around, instead of apologizing, attacking the president.
Yeah. Look, he doesn't know what to do with himself now that he's no longer president.
Could I send him a few suggestions?
Yeah, I'm sure we could. He's engaged in what it appears the Mueller investigation wants to go after the Trump administration on, a violation of the famous Logan Act, conducting his own foreign policy overseas, no less. I mean, this is another demonstration of the hypocrisy of what we're facing in Washington. This
is subversion. This is beyond just ignorance. It's beyond opposition. It's beyond resistance. This is outright subversion. There has never been a president who has ever done this to his predecessor in American history.
Well, I think it's part and parcel of the complete unwillingness of the opposition to acknowledge they lost the election. They're still unable to process it.
But why do we keep carrying that around? I mean, John, what I'm asking is, who gives a damn what they acknowledge? It is the reality. If they refuse to recognize reality, then, let them go get medication, treatment, whatever is required. But let's move the republic ahead.
Well, that's what we should do.
And that's what President Trump is doing.
They're trying to prove the administration is illegitimate, and
illegitimate.
That's what you can say.
They are the ones who are. I mean, this Leandra English at the Consumer.
As the Wall Street Journal said, this is the first attempted coup d'état in American history. I mean, it's a mini coup d'état, but it goes right along with the idea that they should have won the election.
Transfer of power is not minor.
Yeah, and one recalls the famous scene in the debate where I think it was Chris Wallace asked both candidates, "If you lose, will you accept the result?"
Don't tell me. Did Hillary lie?
Well, look, remember William Safire, the great columnist for the New York Times, who
very well
20 years ago called Hillary a congenital liar. 20 years ago.
Yeah, and I think that it was a persuasive case he made, as usual, when Bill got a hold of the facts and the language. But this should not be a surprise to anyone. Yet the national media has moved to a different place. The national media has become not only left-wing, but it's a closed feedback loop. And it is broadcasting only to those who support one point of view, and that is the leftist view. And the Clintons, I think it's immaterial whether it's the Clintons, although they play a major role in it, or any other part of the left.
Yeah. Well, I think the real threat to the Trump administration remains the Mueller investigation. Dianne Feinstein gave away the story yesterday, not that it wasn't obvious that they're seeking an obstruction of justice conspiracy here.
But that's such a ridiculous charge. It's because they've exhausted the illegitimacy charge. The Russian collusion has been rejected. All they have left is obstruction of justice.
But it's dangerous for this reason.
Because Mueller's in the special counsel.
What they've got here is they've created a category of crimes that only exist because of the investigation. Lying to the FBI, perjury, subornation of perjury, destruction or alteration of documents or other evidence, obstruction of justice itself. They could indict people for those crimes if they were investigating their Christmas card list.
If Speaker Ryan and Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, if they had guts, decency, and integrity, they would be as locked up on the shoulders of this president, moving forward to move this special counsel out. The timid Jeff Sessions, a disastrous choice for Attorney General. Enough said, it's done, but now let's move forward. This is an affront against law and order being carried out by the left. It needs to stop, and that's it.
Yeah. Look, I've been fighting the very concept of the independent counsel for 30 years since I worked for Ed Meese at the Justice Department. This is not a constitutional exercise. It's extraordinarily dangerous.
What we're learning about Peter Strzok, the little fellow who was obviously the minion of James Comey, the FBI director, involved in nearly every major Clinton, I think every major Clinton scandal, deciding, and an anti-Trumper of the highest order, coloring all of the conclusions of investigations. Yeah. No wonder nothing ever goes anywhere. And it's ridiculous.
It's why people are losing faith in the government, and particularly the FBI.
Who the hell in their right mind would have faith in the Justice Department or the FBI?
Honestly, that's why President Trump should have fired Jim Comey on January the 20th. I think a lot of this would have been obviated.
That's quite something. We sit here and we talk about he should have fired him sooner. It took great courage for him to do it when he did it, because every maven in the world was telling him, no, there will be such political backlash. You can't do the right thing. This is a president who is here because he's done the right thing. He's said the right thing. What's the right thing for him to do now?
Well, I think they've got to take this Mueller investigation seriously, whether it should be there, because it is the way.
How about blow it the hell up out of there?
It is the way that the opposition does the groundwork for the impeachment charge that's coming if we lose control of the House.
Now you're going to throw an impeachment charge to boot in this thing? We're supposed to take it seriously? At what point do the majority leaders of the Senate and the House take responsibility for this government and side with this president on every damn issue? Because unity works. They've just seen it.
Yeah. Well, I think the tax cut may be a galvanizing event. I think now they can come back in January and go after Obamacare. Hopefully the Senate provision repealing
bloody hell, man, I'm asking you about keeping the Republic going.
And that requires keeping the Republican majorities in the House and Senate, because make no mistake, if Nancy Pelosi is Speaker after next November, the first order of business will be to impeach Trump.
I don't often make this complaint on this broadcast, but I think you have actually seen too far into our future. We have a threat against the Republic, against the legitimate president of the United States, and you're talking about after the midterms. I'm saying to you, this majority leader, this speaker, this president have to align themselves and be unified and move this government forward and roll over the nonsense that is Robert Mueller, with all of his conflicts of interest, with Peter Strzok, who pollutes the entire seventh floor of the FBI. I mean, this is a disaster.
No, it's really unbelievable. As Benjamin Franklin said at the Continental Congress, gentlemen, we must all hang together, or surely we will all hang separately, and it's getting close to that now.
I think that I'm one of those people who would suggest that, forget about hanging, just clean up the damn mess. Hanging, cruel and unusual punishment, whether separately or individually or collectively. Ambassador John Bolton, thanks for
always good to be with you.
The tour through American history. Good to see you.